Hi guys, I did a poll yesterday on my Instagram and asked if you guys wanted to do a get ready with me, and I had a surprising amount of yeses. I have never really filmed myself doing my makeup before, especially not while I've been talking, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me, but I was excited to see that you guys were interested in that. I asked if you guys wanted to see a natural look or a colorful look, and the answers are pretty much split right down the middle. So today I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to do a natural look with a pop of color. It's going to be a look that's a really good introductory makeup look if you are kind of uneasy about wearing color or trying to figure out how to kind of add some colorful tones to your makeup without it looking, silly or out of place during the day. So the first thing you want to make sure you have is your skincare done. Makeup always looks better over a well-maintained canvas. So you want to make sure that you've moisturized, used an eye cream, used a sunscreen. I know a lot of people aren't using sunscreen right now, but you really should use a sunscreen every day, even if you're inside. There's a lot of residual light that comes in through windows, and chances are you're going to go out intermittently to walk your dog or take out the trash. So you really should wear a sunscreen every day, no matter what. It's really important to taking care of your skin. So the first thing I always do when I sit down to do my makeup is I apply a lip balm. Right now I'm using the True Organics Antioxidant Lip Balm. It's okay. It's not my favorite. I'm using it up because I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of the products that I have. Obviously you can see from this fiasco back here that I have a lot of things that I need to use and get through, so I'm trying to be a little bit more diligent about cutting back on what I'm purchasing, using up items that are just sitting around that are half full or partially unused, and trying to I canceled some of my subscription boxes this month, so I'm just trying to be more conscious of me as a consumer. So the next step is actually something that I got a lot of questions on in my video that I posted for both my skincare and my makeup last week. So this is the Caudalie Grape Water. It's a hydrating, nourishing facial mist. So I like to use facial mist before I get started on my makeup because it's just an extra dose of moisture. It's just going to make the skin look a little bit more plump, a little more healthy, a little more hydrated. Your makeup's going to sit a little bit better on top. I also use face mists like if I've been outside for a while and it's been cold and my skin's feeling parched. I use it directly when I get out of the shower to instantly hydrate my skin after the dryness of my body washes and my face washes and stuff in the shower. So I just spray a fine mist of this. So the Caudalie one is my favorite. I've been using it for the last couple years. It's very lightweight. It's very gentle. There's no fragrance. It is actually just grape water. So it is very, very nourishing. It's a great kind of way to get started, especially if you tend to have sensitive skin. So the next step is going to be, I always do my eyes first. I always do my eyes first because that way if I'm working with colorful eyeshadows or darker colors and anything falls down underneath, I can clean that up without having to remove any of my concealer or other makeup. I do this on myself. I do this on my clients, just the way that I've always felt comfortable. If I need to clean up an eyeliner, I'm not taking off my foundation or anything like that. The eye base that I am using is the Lancome Aquatique eye base. I've used this for years. I'm working on panning it, so there's not a whole lot. I love this eye base because it is creamy, it goes on smooth, it keeps my eyeshadow on, but it also has a little bit of color correcting and neutralizing properties, which you'll see after I show you the difference of this eye and the next eye. I have very, very fair skin, and so my eyelids tend to have a little bit of a pinky or purpley hue to them, which sometimes can affect how colors apply on top. So as you can see, this eye versus this eye, you have it kind of works to color correct too. You don't need a whole lot, just a little, and I apply it all the way from the brow to the lash line. I bring it on the inner corner because a lot of our darkness is in the inner corner from the shadow of our brow bone and our nose right here. So I do that. I'll bring a little extra down sometimes too, but that's the first step. So today we're going to be doing a neutral eye with a colorful liner or accent liner. I'm going to be using the Too Faced Natural Love palette, but you can use any sort of neutral palettes that you have. So the very, very first step that I always do is I set this base with a skin tone color. So I'm going to be using this shade right here. You can honestly use a face powder also. And I just dust this gently over the whole lid. It just helps to set your base in place. It's going to make our shadows blend better on top of them later. Okay. So the next shade you want to do is we're going to do kind of a lighter transition color. So I'm going to be using this color right here. Sorry, this color right here. It's called Honey Butter. So it's just, you want to pick a shade that's like 3 shades deeper than your skin tone. It's just going to be what's going to start that fade. Because you want a nice gentle transition of color from the lash line up to the brow. There shouldn't be a really stark finish or end. So we're just going to apply that to the crease and bring it up towards the lash line. I like to use little circular motions. I find that it helps me to blend my eyeshadow out better. Okay, well, my little tripod section just fell, so let's see if we can fix this. You get a nice close-up of my face. Okay. Oh, let's hope that doesn't happen again. I don't know how to edit videos or anything yet, so probably just going to leave that part right in there, guys. Welcome to real life. Shit goes wrong. And you want to blend it out about as far as the tip of your eyebrow. It's usually my stopping point. Okay, so as you can see, we've got that nice kind of gentle crease color. So now you're going to go in with a blending brush. It's a little bit smaller. We're going to take a shade now that's a little bit deeper. And we're going to focus this a little bit more in the direct crease. That's what's going to give us the illusion of having a nice shadow there. I have hooded lids, so I don't have a lot of lid space. So making a nice crease is important so that it looks like I have more space on the lid than I actually do. And again, we're not going to bring this up as high as the last shade, because again, you want a kind of gradient, and this is going to be more for creating the shadow of the actual socket and crease. Okay. And again, blending takes time, and it takes practice. Nobody's good at it in the beginning. The great thing about makeup is it washes off. Right now, you guys have a lot of time, some of us, to play around. So my suggestion is, you're not going anywhere, you're not seeing anybody, play around with your makeup. Try different things, experiment, watch videos. Okay, so as you can see now, we've got a little bit more depth. I wonder if I can, there we go. A little bit more depth to the eye. So now we're going to take a nice color on the lids. So I am using, today for my pop of color, we're going to be using this kind of teal green. And I find that colors, I really always have liked the combination of gold and kind of teal colors together, or blues and golds together. Just makes me think of like this very like Moroccan type vibe. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Is I'm going to be doing a gold lid with a pop of blue. Let me find a nice gold. So another thing, I guess, for people that shoot videos all the time is you should probably have all your stuff together. And that would be too easy. Okay. So I always like to use a liquid or a cream base before I put my shadows on. So I just feel like it gives your shadow something to really stick to. I mean, it's kind of like a primer also, but I work really long days a lot of times, you know, 12, 13-hour days, and I need my eyeshadow to really stick. So I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Color Chameleon in Champagne Desires. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it all over the mobile lid. So the mobile lid is the part that when you actually blink your eye is the part that moves up and down. And honestly, I mean, you could just leave this color. It's really pretty. But I want to go a little bit more gold. Okay. And I like to just blend it out a little bit with my finger. Again, you want a nice smooth transition. I like to bring a little in the inner corner, so it's going to act as our highlight there. Blend it out with your finger. So as you can see now, a little shine on the lid. So there's a beautiful color in this called Honey Pot, which is a nice gold. So I'm going to take a flat eyeshadow brush, so brush like so. I'm going to find one that isn't purple. Okay, well no, not. Alright, and then I'm going to pick up that gold shade. And we're just going to tap that right over. Oh, see how metallic that just got? See how nice and gold and metallic that just got? Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. Beautiful. So now we're just going to add a little depth to the outer corner. So you're going to grab a color that's even deeper, so something in this kind of general area. It's just going to deepen the outer crease. It's just going to add a little bit more definition. So I'm using the shade called Dear Diary because it has a little bit of a gold reflect. And so you're just going to apply this in the outer V. So that very outer corner where the lash line meets the crease. And you're just going to bring it inward. Because just like we had a nice smooth transition going upward, we want a nice smooth transition going inward. The goal with eyeshadow is to always have kind of a area where you can't tell where it stops and starts. And again, I use it and I just kind of pull it in. You always want to start small, build up. So tap off your brush, you know, pick a little up, tap off your brush. And we're going to just do this again. Same thing. Start in the outer corner, blend it inward. And it just adds some nice, a little bit of depth there. I don't know if you can see that. So next is going to be our fun, colorful liner. So like I said, adding a little colorful liner is a great way to add a little bit of a pop of color without it being too intimidating, without it being too much. It's a great way to kind of start and play with color. Like I said, I'm going to use a nice teal green. Just finding a corresponding shadow because I always like to set my liner with a matte shadow in a very similar color. It allows it to stay in place. It keeps it from moving around. We'll do a nice deep greenish teal there. Okay. So like I said, I'm using the L'Oreal Silkissime in True Teal. So you're going to start on the upper lash line. I always tell people start about where your crease ends and don't go very much farther out because especially for people with more mature eyes, that's when you're going to start, you know, putting your liner too far out, and that will drag your eye down, and it'll give the illusion of your eye being, you know, kind of sad and more droopy than it actually is. So start about where your crease begins, okay? And then you're going to drag this across the lash line. A lot of people pull and tug at their eyes. I tell people not to do that because your eyes aren't straight. And if you pull your eyelids straight and apply your liner, when you let it go, your liner's not going to be straight either. I almost work in like little dashes, as you can tell. And I work a little bit at a time and kind of move my liner with the shape of my eye. See how beautiful that teal is? It's so pretty. Okay. And then you're going to do the other side, same thing. Small little dashes starting at the outer eye, right where your crease ends. And sometimes I do like halfway. So I'll drag it halfway across and then bring it in from the inner corner. Okay, so we got this beautiful teal liner now. I love this color. Can you see this? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. Okay, and then I'm going to take a color that is similar. So I'm going to take a little mixture of these two. And I'm just going to set it. I always go over top of my liners with a matte color that's almost the same color and set it because especially if you have hooded lids, it keeps it from transferring. And also if you have oily lids, it does the same thing. It just keeps it from transferring. So on like a thin pencil brush, pick up some of that color. And then you're just going to literally stamp it on top. This gives us a extra insurance throughout the day. Okay. So before I do my under eyes, I actually go into the rest of my face. That way, same thing, if you know your concealer and everything is on, you're not working against your makeup, you're working with your makeup. The first thing I do is I apply a nice hydrating primer. So this is the Laura Geller Spackle Hydrating Moisturizing Under Makeup Primer. And it is just a nice nourishing primer. Just a little bit here. Primer helps to smooth pores. This one in particular helps to hydrate, so it's going to add a little extra moisture. So I am dry, and even now with all the mask wearing and disinfecting and all of that, my face and skin and hands feel even more dry than usual. So next we're going to go in with our foundation. Which one do I want to use today? I'm going to go in with my Physicians Formula because I don't want anything too heavy. I do have some breakouts. My skin has been a little off since all of this started, which makes sense. I'm in different environments for longer than normal, and I have more time to sit around and pick at my face, so that's great. So this is the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation. This is one of my absolute favorites. It just looks so skin-like. It's lightweight. It doesn't seem to make me break out or clog my pores. I'm going to start with the middle of my face. You always want to begin where you need the most coverage and then work out. Applying foundation isn't like painting a room. You don't necessarily need the same amount everywhere, and it'll actually look more natural if you use it kind of selectively first and then use what's left on your brush for the areas that really need coverage. I actually saw this on clearance in quite a few places, which I hope it's not being discontinued because that will make me very sad. If any of you know, give me the answer, that'd be great. So I like to use a nice buffing brush. This is actually from e.l.f. which is great because it's only a couple dollars. And I believe it's literally called the buffing brush. So I kind of use almost pressing, stamping motions. Find that this gives me less streaking. And I work from where I need the most coverage out. Because you're going to have the most on your brush where you begin, which for me, I need the most coverage on my cheeks because I do have rosacea and my chin and my nose because I tend to have a lot of redness there. And then you're going to take what's left on your brush and you just kind of use that in the areas that don't need a lot, just to blend it and give it kind of a universal appearance. And again, just kind of stamping it and pressing it. I find that almost pressing it into the skin, that's why beauty blenders do such a great job too. Pressing it into the skin gives it a much more skin-like texture. So it doesn't look so heavy and it doesn't look like you just have all this makeup sitting on top of the skin. I use a very similar tactic when I do powder. I almost like press it as opposed to swipe it. So again, just a little tiny bit on the forehead because I don't really need a lot of coverage there. I just want it to look like everything is the same. Okay, so now we've got our base. The next part is going to be concealer. Concealer just kind of helps to make the eye look more awake. I'm using the Physicians Formula Conceal RX. This is an alright concealer. It's one of my panning items, so I'm just trying to use it up more or less. It is great if you need full coverage. This one works great on the face for like covering blemishes. It does work great on the eyes, but it is a heavier concealer. It's got a heavier consistency. Reminds me a lot of the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye, but like the drugstore version. So I like to put it on my finger and kind of warm it up on the skin before I go in with my beauty blender to blend it, because I find with really heavy concealers like that, in order for it to spread evenly and not look so heavy under the eyes and not move around during the day, you really need to like warm it up and make it emollient so that it'll spread a little bit more evenly. So then I'm going to take my blending sponge. This is from Ace Beauté. It's a good dupe for the Beauty Blender, but it's a lot more affordable. It's got a nice soft consistency. And then you're just going to blend it out underneath the eye. And I bring my concealer out and blend it towards the hairline in kind of a upward motion. This is great if you are getting a little bit older and you're starting to see some sagging, because it gives the illusion of the eye being more lifted and brighter where you would have some texture on the outer corner. It also helps to kind of bring that eyeshadow upward, which again is a great trick for making the eye look a little bit more taut and the shape a little bit more lifted. It's great for anti-aging tricks. And I also like to just take a little extra on my nose, because that's where I tend to see my foundation wear off first. Next, we're just going to set it with some powder. This is another one of my panning projects. It's a Sally Hansen loose powder. They don't even make it anymore, but you can use whatever loose powder you want. So now this is where that trick of stamping comes in. A lot of people tend to just take their powder brush, they swirl it in their powder, and then they just go like this. Well, then it's just sitting on top of your skin, which gives the skin a very like powdery, dry appearance. So I, pick up some powder. I like to take my brush and go like this, so that it falls into the brush so that you don't have all the stuff flying everywhere. And then I just take it and I press it. Press, press, press. Very lightly. If you have dry skin, you really just want a tiny little bit in the areas where we tend to see it fade the most. For me, that's in my cheeks, my chin, expression areas, I like to call them, anywhere where your face is moving a lot, or I normally see it fade a lot because I'm touching my skin a lot because I touch my face. I'm trying really hard not to do that now, but I'm a face toucher. I don't know how to explain it. I just touch my face a lot. So the next thing we're going to do is set our under eyes, set our under eye concealer. Again, very, very, very minimal amount. Just enough to set it so that it doesn't move all around and it doesn't cause creasing. I actually love this Wet n Wild Reserve Your Cabana. They call it a bronzer, but it's an illuminating powder. Let's be real. In no world is this a bronzer. But it works great because it has a little bit of luminosity. So it works great as a brightening under eye powder. So I just take it on a brush and just, again, press. Very, very, very light amount underneath the eye. See how like bright that makes it? I like to use this Luxie. It's actually the Precision Foundation brush, but it's got this really nice kind of pointy shape, so it works great for just, see how it's kind of got that flat edge? It works great for right under the eyes. Okay, so now we're going to go back to finishing up our eyes. So just like we did before, we want to kind of blend our colors. So we're going to start first with our transition shade. Pick up a little bit on a nice kind of flat brush. Tap off your excess, and we're going to run this right along from our outer lashes and right along the bottom lash line. You can bring it down just a little. You want to bring it down pretty much to the length of your lower lashes. So your lower lashes aren't very long, but where they end and touch the skin on your lower eyes is about where you want that blending shade to stop. See how it's, I'm adding some definition there. Now we're going to go in with a little bit of a deeper shade like we used for our outer corner. And again, running that even closer to the lash line. This is all just going to help transition. Perfect. And then we're going to take that liner again, that teal liner, and we're just going to run this right along the bottom lashes. You don't want to go all the way in the inside. Pretty much want to stop where your eye starts to turn back up, because that is what's going to give you kind of that wide-eyed doe effect. Too far in and it's going to make your eyes appear smaller. And I just kind of blended that out with my finger, but you can blend it out with a brush also. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to set it with a pencil brush of some sort. So I'm using this little brush here. And again, we're just going to set it, blend it out. Okay, so this is what we're working with. Be like a fancy YouTuber here. So this is what we're working with the eyes. So a beautiful gold soft eye with that pop of liner. Okay. So next we're going to do our mascara and such. So I always use a eyelash primer. I worked for Lancome for years, so I'm spoiled, and I love the Lancome Souls Booster, but L'Oreal Lash Paradise makes a good one. CoverGirl now has a pretty good one. So lash primers are conditioner for your lashes. So just like you condition your hair on your head to keep it nice and soft and supple and shiny, you use a lash primer for the same effect. It really does make a huge difference in the health of your lashes, to make them less brittle, to help them grow. People ask me all the time if I have fake lashes. No, I do not. I just take very good care of them. I use a nice gentle makeup remover at night. I leave the cotton pad on to saturate the eye to remove it more easily. I don't pick off my makeup. I don't leave it on while I sleep. So I just do a lot of things to take care of my lashes. And in turn, they take care of me. And they look beautiful and they look fake and they're great. So this is, it looks white, but it actually dries clear. So it's going to be a little hard to apply this and be able to see. So I'm going to use my compact mirror, but you just put a light layer on the top and the bottom. And then you put it other side. Never pump your eye products up and down like this. If you have to redo it, put it in and swirl. You don't want air to get in the tube. That's what's going to make your mascaras and primers and any cream shadows with the doe foot, makes them dry out faster.